I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack. But first,
Five God on the beat.
welcome to the Deep Focus podcast. As always, I'm your co-host Varun. I'm with Murad. What's going on, man?
Chillin'. I did not sleep much, but we're here. I chugged a huge can of Red Bull before coming up here, so I'm very excited. I'm very jittery, so I have a lot to talk about, but it might be nonsense. I blame the Red Bull for that. How are you?
You know, my man, you sound like you're making excuses because you say you got a lack of sleep. We all know you're not working right now. You took some time off to recover. You're not going out because there's nowhere to go out really right now. So stop complaining, bro. Like that's completely on you. You need to be better at
I
sleeping.
I never once said it was on anyone else. I'm just saying I had
And
lack of
stop
sleep.
crying. Like this. Come on, man. Like that's on you. By saying it on air, like you're hoping people feel bad about you, and that's not. No one's gonna do that because I
I
called
don't
you
want your
out.
sympathy.
Oh, you never will get my sympathy. That's the only reason you say
Yeah.
that. You
No,
never
not
will once.
like you said, I'm a one man wolf pack, bro. I don't need no sympathy out
Oh
here.
man. I'm sure you guys noticed now in the last three episodes, including today, how I'm throwing random lines at the beginning of the episode. Just it's because like every single one of them I've just watched recently, and I think I mentioned this before. I tend to go on YouTube deep dives on like amazing like movie scenes or TV scenes. So last week, I hope you guys caught that, but that was the opening line from the Goodfellas, which in my opinion is the most rewatchable mafia movie of all time.
Whoa.
Most rewatchable, not the best, but the most rewatchable.
No, I
I
know,
know
I know. I'm just thinking about it.
you can't. I don't. And it's the perfect movie. Like you can't. There's no one can say the God, but the Godfather. People say, you know what, it's kind of so. It's not for me, and I get that from people. Even though it's the perfect film, I get that from
Right.
people. Godfather 2, same thing. Casino is obviously a great movie, but with Goodfellas, it's perfect from top to bottom when it comes to the story, the casting, the
The
everything is
pacing, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And the last episode, I'm the one who knocks. Come on, guys, it's Heisenberg, Breaking Bad, and even Murad had to question me. The opening line today is from The Hangover. Like I watched that last night or 2 nights ago with my wife. It's an amazing movie. I forgot how.
Yeah.
I always thought the movie was amazing. Like I never doubted at the greatness of The Hangover, but like I
Yeah.
keep forgetting the how great it is until I watch it again. The only thing that
Yeah.
movie makes me do I miss going to Vegas. That's for sure.
The the only line I remember from that movie, not even lines. I remember the actions more than the lines because I thought like it was just a good, like physical comedy as well as just like hey these comedians are on screen together. Um, but one of the lines I remember was when they find out that Mike Tyson's tiger is in their bathroom, and then you see Ed Helms just saying, "There's a fucking tiger in there," and for some reason that line stuck with me because of his intensity and just like that's how I would react if there's a tiger. I would not be scared. I'd be like, "Why is there a tiger here?" So I don't know why that resonated with me so much.
Yeah, man, that movie's fantastic. But I'm sure you and I can do a whole episode about that. But before we get off track, let's bring it back in to today's episode. Because I know you and I can go off tangents sometimes. But it is Thursday, so that means it's a new month, which means it's Q&A time. So welcome to Q&A part 3. I'm very
Part
excited for
three.
this.
Can you
That
believe
means
it's
the
been 3 months?
can we start this in March and we thought like oh hopefully this lasts more than a month and then here we are now in June. It's that's nuts. So I'm very excited
I know.
to keep this going
Yeah.
and we're still getting questions from you guys, which means you guys care a little bit about what we talk about, which is kind of cool. I'm still kind of like in awe about like even like we get like a couple listeners or a couple views. I'm like, this is awesome. I get so excited. It's really cool. But as always, you can catch us on YouTube, the Defocus Podcast channel. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts and your audio form. If there's something that we are missing, let us know because we want to be everywhere. We want to be in your ears as much as we can because we want to continue to bring out as much content as possible. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Deep Focus Pod, and email us with any questions, concerns, reviews, complaints, whatever, at the Deep Focus Podcast at
Just talk to
gmail.com.
us.
Yeah.
Talk to us. Listen to us. Who wouldn't want to listen to our voices all
Murad's
day? You
only
know.
like really like the most like interaction he gets is as me. Like as honestly, the only time I talk to him all week is through the podcast. Otherwise, it's the
Mm-hmm.
random texting him, and I usually just yell at him. It's usually more often than not because
It's
he
a very
was
one-sided relationship.
yeah, like like he'll forget to submit an audio for the podcast or something like that.
Hey, that was taken care of. Come on.
Yeah, you know what? You slept in as always, but you recovered. You've all recovered. But one of these days, we're not going to be able to recover, and we'll see what happens. But yeah,
I think you'll just see me self-destruct. Like one day you'll just ask me a question via text, and I'll just be like, "Arr," and then I'll just blow up. So
don't
I'm
don't
very
don't
positive.
don't tempt me because I'm going to continue pushing questions to you, just to see that happen. That'd be just so cool to
I'll
watch.
just block your number until like the day before.
Sorry, there's no shortage of burner phones. I could definitely I'll find
Oh
some. I'll
my
find a way.
god. Do you have burner phones prepared? Do you have something to tell us?
I know my
Very
wife is
nervous
listening.
chuckle you got there,
So
buddy.
to continue, so yeah, so welcome to the
Mm-hmm.
Q&A. I'm excited. We're changing it up a little bit today. Murad has all the questions today, so I'm very excited to go through all the questions, and we will, as always, not last episode, but like we'll have our own question at the end to sort of throw at each other, and then we'll go from
Mm-hmm.
there. So Murad, why don't you take us away with the first question?
Sure. So the first question that I received, and I know you talked about what got you into the podcast, but I guess people want to know what got you into movies and how did you realize what you liked and what you didn't. And I know that may be a straightforward question, but the fans want to know.
It's actually it's funny you bring that up because I had this question from a couple of days ago, just from a colleague, and what I got into it. So this is a two-parter. What got me into it? One, it was pretty straightforward. So many years ago, I used to work as a security guard at an unknown building, which I will not name, but I was working there. It was graveyard shifts, so there's a lot of like Monday to Friday. I'm working from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and I was like the backup security guard. So there was really nothing for me to do because it wasn't like I had to go around and do something. It was more just like, hey, you're there in case he needs help because I had no experience at the time. It was one of my first jobs post high school. Like I've worked before, but nothing in that security field. So I was like sort of backup, and I had to find a way to one stay awake and two kill time, because 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. I wasn't obviously at that age. I was just turned 19 at the time. So I was really young, right? And so I didn't really have any other experience. Like I'm really staying up, going out, so never really stayed up if I did. And I was bored. So that's where I actually started getting into mafia movies. So during that time, I had bought this portable DVD player from Toys R Us, and I would just rent it. I would I actually bought movies. So just because I've always been sort of in awe about like the history of like mobsters and mafias and gangsters in North
Mm-hmm.
America, anywhere around the globe. So I bought like the Goodfather, the Goodfellas DVD. I bought the Godfather 3 pack, all that sort of stuff, and I just watched them. Like in one sitting, I watched the entire Godfather series. In one sitting, I watched Goodfellas and Scarface back to back. So I was continuing to rent these movies, and that's where I started like, oh my god, these movies are amazing. I want to keep watching more. So eventually, the security guard job stopped. So because we were
Mm-hmm.
no longer needed there, and it was something where like I wasn't let go or anything. This is and there was a very short time where there was no work available. At this
Mm-hmm.
point, since I was 16, I've never gone more than a week without working. So I'm not. So week has passed by, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. I was kind of nervous. I'm like, am I gonna get work again? I don't know what's going on. the security company did a great job of keeping in contact with me, keep checking my availability and things like that, and offered me some positions, but some were either way too far away because I had transit at the time. I didn't have a car, so it took me a couple hours to SkyTrain there and back or bus there and back. So I'm like, it's not worth it for me. So I was job hunting again, and eventually down the road, I actually got a job at Blockbuster. And yeah, so I got a job at Blockbuster. And I'm gonna say I don't think it's bad to say this now because no, there's no Blockbusters around. But actually, there might be one still available in the
There's
world.
one in the
in
States.
in Oregon, I want to say. I could be
Yeah.
completely wrong. But Blockbusters, as part of their, I guess, perks of being an employee at Blockbuster, is they get 10 free rentals a week.
10?
And 10 free rentals a week.
Bro, that's
10 free
crazy.
rentals a week. Like, it's still within the time frame they give it to you. So, like, if you're renting, like, a 2 night, like a brand new 2 night DVD, I still have to bring within 2 nights. If you're renting, like, a DVD that's a little bit older, like, I still follow that sort of due date guideline. So, customers obviously could rent it. But then I would also, like, I would rent so much. And my favorite thing about that was if a DVD is coming out, because every Tuesday a new movie will come out available to rent. I would see those movies a week before it came out on DVD because we have access to them because they want us to give our opinions to customers about like, hey, like you should get this movie or rent this movie and this is what I thought about it. So they really want us to really stay on top of that. So I will always say this. I think I invented binging because that's where like I got the entire Wire series and I was just pump them right out. I got the entire Sopranos series, pumped them right out, and like I kept getting all these DVDs. Seinfeld, I kept going through all of these ones of Friends, right? All the DVDs. I was getting every single one of them. Just kept pushing through them, and the 10 rentals I was able to chew up no problem. I was like, this is amazing. That's an awesome job. I really enjoyed it until I got fired. Apparently I wasn't. So I'm like, as much as I love the idea and nostalgic of going to Blockbuster and renting DVDs, their snacks were expensive. Like,
So
there
did you
was-
steal snacks?
No, 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 no. Let
Oh,
me finish the story, man.
Sorry,
So,
sorry.
Their
You said
snacks were
fired, and
expensive.
then you said snacks are expensive.
No,
so I
no,
was
no,
like,
no,
well, put
no.
two and two together.
Their snacks are super expensive,
Yeah.
and I apparently wasn't doing a good job selling our snacks. Because for real, like someone's gonna come in and see like a 2 liter Coke for, I think it was like $4 or something stupid like that. I'm like, hey bro, I'd save on to like two for $1 right now, right? Or like, I'm like why would you buy it? And Save on Foods was in our complex, so it wasn't like this to go completely somewhere else. Like here was like essentially like here was Blockbuster. I think Save on Foods in the same complex was not even a 10-minute walk. Right, and there's also a Subway in there. There's a sushi restaurant.
Yeah.
It had options. I'm like, so I never pushed it because I didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no. So and then what happened was my old manager loved me. Then this new guy came in after just our manager quit and she went somewhere else. She got another job offer. This kid comes in. I'll never forget his face. Like this little pimple face. Like
This kid, he's younger than you?
I think he was a year younger than me.
Oh,
Right,
wow.
he came as an interim manager because he worked with Blockbuster for like 4 years. Like that was his only job, right? And came in and customers. To me, I feel like customers loved me because I knew them by first name. I knew what type of movies they liked. That's the point. I watched everything. I could recommend everything for them, but like I just had this awesome connection. But I got fired because I wasn't pushing our snacks out, and that's then my movies. My love for movies has continued to grow no matter where I went, and I've all just loved it. And yeah, and here we are today.
There you go.
That's quite the story, man. I know it's a short answer.
I love how it's like, oh, I was a security guard, watched a bunch of movies, worked at a movie store, and then I got fired for not selling enough snacks.
Yeah,
what a
man.
weird reason to let go of someone. But I
It
get
was-
it. I understand. You got to play
right.
the game.
I sure, but like I'm not gonna sell like
No.
$5 bags of chips, right?
true.
$3 like quesos. Like, come on, man. Like I'm gonna go to Save On down
quesos?
somewhere else. The little quesos, like the little jar of quesos, like you dip a chip in, the tortilla chips.
That's what's up. That's tight.
Have you not had them before?
No, I know. I just didn't know Blockbuster sold them.
Yeah, they sold salsa. They could sell dip with the chip, But
I didn't know that. Crazy. Okay.
yeah, they sold everything. But like, I would never sell
Mar-
it.
It's like movie theater prices. you know, a little bit
But
more
that's
than a movie
different.
theater.
But that's different though.
Yeah, because that's
Whereas
the
movie theaters, like,
ambiance.
no, no, no. That's not why you're there. You can't like bring a 2 liter pop in with you.
Yeah, but it also just enhances. Like you don't need to have popcorn, but it enhances everything. You know
Oh
what I
no,
mean?
for sure,
So like
right?
they
I'm not.
don't
I'm
need to
not. I'm not saying
overcharge.
people, hey guys, don't get chips. Period. Like,
Yeah,
just don't get it from
yeah,
here,
yeah.
because
No,
it's
fair
so
enough.
we're so
I've certainly done
expensive.
that before. Got in
Yeah,
trouble.
man. What
Cool.
about you,
All
man?
right. So very similar to you. I worked at HMV. So
Hmm.
Blockbuster you could rent, HMV you could buy. I was at HMV for a couple of years. One of my favorite jobs in the world because it was movies, music, TV shows, and I would just be talking to people and telling them what I like and having them recommend me new music, new movies, and one of the greatest jobs I've ever had. Definitely recommend every teenager if there's still physical media stores out there, get a job at them because it's a great first job, especially when you're in high school because you're still learning about things and there's so many people of all different life experiences that come by. So I got into movies there because before that, of course, I watched movies and the odd movies here and there, but when I started to talk to people and they started telling me about the connections from, oh, this movie is a remake of this movie, which is inspired from this movie, I fell in love with the history of filmmaking and movies in general. And I've always really liked the backstory of certain things, right? So the making of documentaries, which is why I had to buy DVDs and Blu-rays because those are often like the extra features and stuff, right? So I fell in love with the history of filmmaking and the history of just movies in general, and people have always found ways to tell really cool stories. Like even before there was like HD, Blu-ray, 3D, whatever cameras there are now. And often those movies, because they don't have the poshness and the crazy graphics, they relied heavy on storytelling, which is why I'm more of a fan of, hey, does this movie have really cool and really cohesive storytelling, or is it just a shiny piece of film that's there that's going to just make a bunch of money and that's it, right? So
Hmm.
that's what got me into movies. And I started. I the second question to this, Varun, was how did you realize what you like and what you didn't like? For me, that was I realized that I liked a lot of like cheesy romantic flicks, and then I got into like weird sort of like horror, like A24 horror style stuff. And I was never one for the action movies until very recently. I would say, like, of course I'd watch them, but I wasn't like, oh, this is an action movie. I have to go see it until I heard that they were remaking Bad Boys for Life. And I was like, oh man, I have to go watch this action flick. And that was the one of the first action flicks that I was like, oh man, I have to go see this right away because it looks so cool. And then of course everything shut down. Different story. Um, so yeah, it was a very interesting experience trying to figure out what I like and what I don't like. What about you?
I found out very early I liked everything.
Okay,
Right,
cool.
so that hasn't changed because being a blockbuster,
Like,
like I said, like I maybe it's the Indian in me, but I want to make sure I use my discount at the fullest. So whether it's a
mm,
movie or that I wanted to watch or didn't want to watch, or a TV show that I wanted to watch, I want to make sure I'm using my discount at the maximum capacity as I could. So if we get 10 free rentals, I'll find 10 things to rent. Like that's for sure.
okay, okay,
And I watched everything, like every damn
nice.
thing. So I love like the cheesy bad movies. I love like no like part of a movie draft like Swordfish. I remember watching that the first time, and then there's no real access to reviews, so you don't know going into these movies whether they're
Yeah.
really good or not, right? But like partway through that movie, you sort of just enjoyed it. You got the
Mm-hmm.
vibe that that type of movie is supposed to be, and like, oh, I like this, right?
Yeah.
Like there's times where like what's that movie? Two for the Money, I think it's called, with Al Pacino,
One.
Matthew. One for the
Oh
money,
yeah.
two for the money, with Al
One
Pacino.
for the money.
Double check the title. I'm mind
Yeah.
blanking, but Matthew McConaughey and Al Pacino. I'm like, oh, this movie is not great, but the idea of gambling is really cool, and then that's how I got into gambling. And then I started watching movies like Rounders, which is my favorite gambling movie of all time. If you haven't seen Rounders, it's a classic.
Rounders is
Matt Damon. Matt Damon.
and
It's a poker movie. It is fantastic. It is an absolute must watch if you guys haven't seen Rounders yet. It's Yeah, it's one of my favorite. Like, if you love poker or gambling or anything around that sorts, you need to watch that movie. The same people who made billions, who's making billions right now, but yeah, definitely check it out. But yeah, I found out really
Okay.
early. Like, I loved everything, and that's why that I haven't really changed today. Where like, I'll give every movie a
Hmm.
legitimate chance because every movie does not have the same intent,
That's
right?
fair.
They
I
have their
um
yeah.
I'm a firm believer. There's always it's also two for the money, by the way. Because there's
That's
also a
right.
movie called One for the Money, but that
Oh,
came out later. Yeah, so
okay.
whatever. I'm a firm
But I was
believer, and
right.
there's always something in a movie that I'm going to like. If I don't like the entire movie from start to finish, there's always something in it where like it'll be the saving grace. And that's not me saying I'll think of that movie as a really good movie. It's just it's not a I don't think any movie's a terrible movie. There's always something in there that I like, whether it
Mm.
be like some camera direction or something to do with the acting or something to do with the lines. It's like there's always something that I like. So it's I like your way of looking at it. Good stuff. So
All right, man.
the
Next question.
the next question people want to know is this is a pretty good one. What because you and I are both fans of sitcoms, which TV show family, because we grew up with so many. Which TV show family would you want to live with, or movie family?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is.
So I have two families.
Okay.
I'm thinking of right away. I just got to figure out between the two. So
Don't
it
don't cop
is
out.
either. It's
Hmm.
no, come on, man. I'm not gonna pull a Murad here. I have two movies, so I'm gonna talk it out. I'm trying to figure out which one. So there's the Banks, well, from Freshman to Bel Air,
Okay.
right? So mainly, with the Banks, it is seems like they're rich. Like, let's be real. Like, they have the money, they have the means, but they have also like this moral compass about them, like the work ethic they want the kids to
Mm-hmm.
like didn't take. Hillary was maybe not so much there, but they are like a group family that really stood for each other, and they had
Mm-hmm.
everything. So it seemed like always a fun time living there, no matter like more often than not. Or there's the Dumfies from Modern Family,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
A little
like
bit
if I had
old, a
to
little bit
pick,
of new.
yeah. So I don't know if this is recency bias, but I would probably lean towards the Dumfies a little more because I know a lot more about their extended family, and I think that's probably why I would do that. So when it comes to the Dumfies, one I think Phil Dunphy is not the best TV dad of all time, but he's my favorite.
Mm.
Like, he's honestly
Okay.
up there, and like his father-in-law Jay is like one of my other favorite characters, like characters on TV of all time,
Mm-hmm.
and like that family, no matter like, and it's a thing like where everyone brings something so unique from their own personal lives to share that
Mm-hmm.
there's no, and no matter what, they always have this massive family gatherings. And growing up in an Indian household, like, not saying the Banks family won't do that, but they're really far away from their families because they have family in Baltimore, they have family in Philadelphia, and all over the place. Where
Mm-hmm.
they're in like in Bel Air, they're in California. Whereas the Dumfies, who are also in California, and all their family
Is
is
in
within
California.
driving distance. Like, they're all within
Right.
driving
Okay.
distance, right? So I like that big family gathering. I do enjoy that, and it's like, with everyone. Like, I'm not gonna get along with all the kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who gets along with everyone in their family? But I feel like no matter what, at the end, the closeness they all have with each other, and the amount of family gatherings they have, I would choose the Dumfies as my TV family.
Okay. All right.
How about
Right
you?
on. Um, Mine is. I'm gonna talk this one out too, because mine one of them would be the Tanners from Full House. The reason why is because I watched that show. That was the first TV show that I watched, and this was like 3 years after I'd come to Canada. So my cousins are like, "Hey, watch this show," and I was obsessed. And I really loved the talks that Danny would have with the kids, or like Joey or Jesse would have with the kids at the very end, because they're all so caring, and they loved one another. And the adults were so intelligent but also so dumb at the same time. Whereas like sometimes it would be the kids who would teach the adults a lesson about like, hey, you guys have to like kiss and make up. Um, so either that, or I also want to say The Simpsons. I think The Simpsons would be a really fun family to live in. You know, just because like there's so many different types of characters, and not just the characters of the family, but the characters of the entire town. There's so many things going on. So, you know what? No, I'm going to stick true to my roots. I'm going to stick with the Tanners from Full House.
Okay, I find it a bit of an odd choice. And this is the only reason why, because you're asking us to live with it.
Sure.
I can't live with three girls that have family members around my age. Like it's like I got that age. I can't do it. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I'll be able to mentally survive that. and
Why? Hold on.
but
Why though?
but other than that though, like I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that with Uncle Joey, Uncle
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, right, and
Mm-hmm.
Danny. Like they're also a close family. And one thing I do love about the Dumfries too, I forgot to mention, is that diversity within that family,
Mm-hmm.
and not how they're perfectly accepting of each other. Like I remember the first couple seasons, and even towards the like later seasons, where Jay was still like so confused to understand, you know, his son's like his marriage with another man, his relationship with another
Yeah.
man, and he was fully supportive of it, so I could understand it, and I did accept the
Mm-hmm.
realism about that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, all right, man. So,
All right.
I'll
Good,
yeah, good stuff. Next one.
good stuff. So, another question: what is the movie that you would immediately veto if there was ever talks of remake?
Oh, shit.
Immediately veto. Like, no. Like if you were the president of movies and someone's like, "Hey, boss, we have this idea that we want to pitch to you." You're like, "Nope."
Any gangster movie ever made. Like, if I had to pick one gangster movie, it would have to be The Godfather. But any
Okay.
gangster movie ever made, gangster movies are dead. Like everyone needs to accept that. No more. I don't think another gangster movie, a good one, will ever come out ever again.
Why is that? Why do you think that?
Because think about who made the original gangster movies, right? With
Right.
Coppola, with um,
Scorsese.
Scorsese, right? Like
Yeah.
Scorsese he wasn't in that lifestyle, but he understood it. He was really in that world. Like he really understand the inner workings of it, what was happening, and he is the only person that can make another movie like that. That another movie like that it will not exist anymore. It can't exist. Scarface is a gangster movie, sure, but like to a certain extent, right? It was more like blood, guts, and glory with that, and a lot of cocaine with that. But whereas The Godfather, with the storytelling and
Mm-hmm.
developing and all the different things involved in that, any Godfather remake, one, two, even three, stay away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll watch it, but stay away from it. But I think that's why there's movies coming out who are talking about the making of The Godfather, or the
Mm-hmm.
making of they're doing a lot more movies out behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the more stories. I think that's what's doing well now. Like we saw with Mank and things like that, where
Mm-hmm.
they're talking about great movies, and instead of like, hey, instead of like burning these classics and doing it wrong, let's talk about the behind the scenes of it. Because
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a remake without actually making a remake, and sort of a cop out of a remake,
Mm-hmm.
but giving a full story behind it, and more often than not, it's actually done pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But like one thing is straight, like I will still watch every single movie that comes out. But if they make a Godfather remake, I would go to the studio and probably burn it down. Because you
The
can't have
studio or the movie
the studio who
or the whole
agrees to it.
studio. This is
Yeah,
okay. Okay, I
yeah.
just wanted to.
Universal, MGM. I don't care who's out there. If you make another mafia movie, a
Yeah.
reboot of a classic, I hope
Yeah.
I hope bad things towards you. Like you
Wow.
can't do that, right? Like
I
movies
get
are,
it.
right?
It's a bit extreme, but I get it.
But that's why I'm not completely against this whole Scarface
Yeah.
reboot, because Al Pacino's Scarface is not the first Scarface. People forget that, right? Like, Al
Mm-hmm.
Pacino's Scarface is the second Scarface. So
Mm-hmm.
Al Pacino's Scarface was already the reboot,
Right.
right? Right.
But
So
they
that's
did
why.
it so well.
Yeah, for sure. And the first one wasn't
You
bad.
know?
Have you seen the original
No,
one?
I
The
have
first
not. I
one,
didn't know there was
the
an
first one,
original
yeah,
until just
the
now.
first one. There is a first one, and I thought it was fine. I liked it. It was
Mm-hmm.
good, right? But like it's obviously different from what the Al Pacino version was. But now they're in development of a third version of the Scarface movie. There isn't a lot of um, nothing's really set yet. It seems like I don't think really make big casting news or anything. There's a lot of people attached to it, rumor wise, but nothing's been confirmed. So whether it'll happen or not, it's a different story. But I'm open to that because that's not something where like you need to be really all in. Right? Like they, when it comes to the inner working of the story, they could just fly by it with the action. So yeah, Godfather, stay away from it, please.
Is so Scarface the original? Is that the one from 1932?
Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta watch that. That looks really cool.
Yeah.
It's not the same story though. I would assume.
No. It's not the same
to do
story.
with, like okay.
No,
is
it's not like
a mafia
it's
movie
the
with
same.
the same name?
Yeah, like same name. I believe same character names too, and similar idea of like moving up in the world. But yeah.
Okay, all right. You know what? Ironically enough, my answer to that question was also not Scarface, Godfather.
Yeah,
Because
this is it's pretty simple.
as
How
soon
do
as I
you
think of a movie
how
that
do you
you
remake that?
can't remake, I know.
It's the
And
perfect movie. It's the perfect
it's
movie.
already a remake of what the studio wanted because the studio didn't want it, right? The studio didn't
No.
want that film. The studio
No.
just wanted something like just shoot 'em up, whatever, right? So, yeah. Thank you, Francis Ford Coppola, for giving us The Godfather. You will always have a place in my heart, and if I had personally had a lot of money, I would have you come by and sit and talk with us on the show because you mean so much to us, but we don't. We'll get there one day though, right? You know what? The next question I thought was interesting because this is a question that I was gonna ask you, right? So, favorite new school actor, actress, performer from 2010 up until now.
It's Michael B. Jordan.
Okay. Wow.
I mean,
crazy.
I've been writing to Michael B. Jordan since The Wire. Like I have been all in on this guy. And it's 04. I like this guy. I mean, this is cool. Then when he came in Friday Night Lights, I'm like, this kid's gonna be an effing star. Like I was so sold. Right? I'm like, this is a baby Will Smith. Like this guy's gonna come out, bring out bangers, and call it a day.
Yeah.
Right? And he has not short-lived his career. He has some bad movie flops, but he's young. It's
Sure.
fine. But he's a hit with Michael B. Jordan. No matter what he brings out, I am all in. There's no doubt about it. Like I am watching it, and he hasn't disappointed. You know, with the Creed series, even the really poorly reviewed Fantastic Four, I still watched it because he was in it, right? Without remorse. We'll go back to that a little bit later on. But everything else, we're very like this with his career. If he's in it, I am watching, and I am absolutely all in. A close second place is Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
Right, I just think he is him and Childish Gambino, aka Don Glover, are the two most talented people in the world. Like that's my opinion on them because. When when Bradley Cooper did Stars Born, I'm like, okay, both him and Gambino, they both rap side like one rap, one sings, right? Gambino could sing too. They both could write, they both could direct, they both could act, and so those two are to me are the most talented people in the world. So that's like if I had to make a Mount Rushmore, like it would be like Donald Glover, Cooper, and. Michael B. Jordan, but Michael B. Jordan always for me, just because I felt so invested, because at such a young age, I was all in on him.
Yeah.
So I think I felt the most attached with him because of Bradley Cooper. The first time I saw him was obviously in Wedding Crashers, and he was a douchebag. Right, he was like the really shitty he was a really shitty person in that movie. I'm like, oh, this guy's been playing a dickhead all his life, but then like he comes out with the Hangover. I'm like. He's still kind of a douche, you know, stealing money.
But he was a cool douche because he was
he
so
though?
cool in that movie.
Was he
cool
though?
in that movie. Did you see his hair? It was just flowing in the wind in the desert.
He stole money.
Oh,
he stole money from the students for a field trip, right? Like he stole money from the students for a field trip, which he uses in Vegas. That's not a cool person, man. He was still a pretty bad person. Doesn't talk about it because he's so cool looking and so suave and so like
he was
party
suave.
hardy. he forces his friend to get a villa, right? And calls him. He and then cockblocks him on the phone. The cute front desk girl is like, "You're not a real doctor," and like the guy's married. Like I don't know. Like he's just he wasn't playing a good person. But like the cool thing about that, like it's so easy for actors like that to be stuck in that role of being like a dickhead. Like Billy Zabka when he did when he was in
Karate Kid.
the Karate Kid, right? I he fully admits like he in an interview he admitted that
Typecast.
he got typecasted,
Yeah.
and that could have happened for Bradley Cooper too, but it didn't happen for him. So
Right.
he's done so many amazing things when it comes to
Right.
action, drama, comedy, on front of the camera or behind the camera, whatever the case may be. So those guys have to be mentioned too. But yeah, Michael B. Jordan, since he was a kid, like I was all in on
Yeah,
him.
no, that's you've definitely followed that career trajectory from start to well, not finish, but like from start to where he is now, and seen his
Yeah,
growth, right?
yeah.
So, and I fell in love with Michael B. Jordan as soon as I saw Fruitvale Station because oh man, I was bawling my eyes out,
That's where I found with Ryan
right?
Coogler.
Okay, yeah,
I
yeah,
swear that, and now
similar
he's the next.
energy.
So if you ask me like a director question, no, you're not. But Ryan Coogler is that director for me now. Like he's
Okay,
a guy
okay,
I follow from the beginning. If Ryan Coogler makes a movie, I'm watching it. Because he
yeah.
was 20 something when he made that movie. It's probably what your age is now. He was younger than you when he made that movie. That was his first movie out of film school. Right? Think, oh,
Made me feel like garbage there.
well,
You
you
made
haven't gone to film
Fruitvale
school.
Station. What
But
have
you, but
you
you haven't,
done?
but you haven't gone, but you haven't gone to film school, right? Like, so he's
Yeah.
another director. Like, so when I remember the day Creed got announced,
Mm-hmm.
and I found out Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler were in it, I'm like, how I'm this is before like WhatsApp or group messaging was a thing. We'll all email each other. We'll have these massive email threads. I was telling my cousins like, hey, this guy's gonna be a star, and that's too bad. I sent it from my work email.
Mm-hmm.
I wish if it was my personal email, I would have kept all of it, but I kept typing up like, Creed is gonna be amazing. This is when it first was announced. Like, why are they doing a Rocky reboot? Like, this is amazing. I'm all in because the people are in it. So, okay, I'll stop. But those are my people.
Hold on. Wait. I have a question. So you said when Creed came out,
No, no, no.
you
When
had
did it
an
come out?
email?
No, no.
Oh, when it was announced?
When Creed was announced, before there was group chats, before there was iMessaging groups or WhatsApp groups and things like that, me and my cousins will send each other emails. We'll have group email chats.
Right, but when was Creed announced? Because WhatsApp was the thing. Creed came out
But
when?
but 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 iPhone was charging for WhatsApp at the time, and I wasn't paying for WhatsApp.
You had to pay for
Creed
WhatsApp
was
at one
announced.
point?
Creed was announced. Let me double check. I need to check my link
Yeah.
back. Like if I can remember what year was that, because that was a long time
When
ago.
did you have to pay for WhatsApp? That's a very new thing to me.
Only on iPhones
What?
for a little while. Only for a little while.
Okay,
So this
that's
is
weird.
back
I've never heard of
in
that.
going way back. I want to say it happened December of 2012. Like that year. It was 2012 that Creed was announced.
When did Creed come out? 2016? 15?
Something
I was
back,
working
yeah.
at HMV when it had come out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
it took
Creed,
so long to make. Crazy.
yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, because Rocky was Stallone wasn't in it right away. Like he didn't want anything to do with it. So I think there's some complications there, and yeah, I was just all in. So when it was the first announced, I'm like, I'm so pumped for this. I can't wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I get it. Now for me, a standout performer that I'd seen from what I thought was her beginning, but doing more research on it, it was not the beginning. Would be Saoirse Ronan. I think she's a great actor, but also because she does good character work, right? So Saoirse Ronan, I first saw her in Hannah, and I thought she was fantastic in Hannah. Because like for someone of her stature to be like the perfect assassin was sort of like Lucy Liu in like Kill Bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, or Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, but like it was really cool to see someone who was a female lead in an action movie that was meant for her to be like an assassin, But then she also a couple years later did Grand Budapest Hotel, where she was like this naive baker. But like her range of characters, I think is really really good. Um, so she would be my favorite new school actor of the 2010s. However, special shout outs to a few people like you'd said, Miles Teller, because he was doing a lot of really cool things,
Yeah.
and then he did Fantastic Four, and then he said some stuff, and then he was gone from Hollywood for a little bit to like focus on himself. And so yeah, definitely a a cool actor. I'm excited to see what he does. I know we talked about it on our last episode,
Yeah,
right?
with Miles Teller, like I know he's replacing Armie Hammer and that like, making up the Godfather, but he's an interesting one. Like I'm with you. Like I was excited for him, mainly because like he's from Philadelphia. He's a big Eagles fan. Like I love celebrities who follow sports. I think this is so cool. That's why Will Smith is one of my favorite people too. Not just because of his amazing on screen stuff, but like with Miles Teller, he's had an interesting career. So like he's had like a movie like Fantastic Four that comes out, like questions a lot of things. But so Michael B. Jordan, right? So like I'm not gonna fault him for that. But then he did Whiplash. I'm like, right? So
Fantastic.
but fantastic. But then I had to think about this. I'm like, was Whiplash anyone could be in that role, and the movie still would have been great.
No.
I think
So
J.K.
the
Simmons was
reason,
amazing in that.
yeah,
But he's a movie like Only the Brave, and I
yeah,
enjoyed that a lot. He's done Bleed for This, which I enjoyed. I loved War Dogs. It's one of my
Spectacular Now.
Spectacular Now. I haven't seen that.
Oh,
Is that a rom com?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how
War,
you're like action film, action film. I'm like, hey, he was also in a romantic movie.
but War Dogs, like he
Yeah.
was, like that
With
was
Jonah.
that's actually my favorite Miles Teller movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I love War Dogs from start to finish because it's pure entertainment and like Jonah Hill is also fantastic at that. But yeah, yeah, I'm sure we could do a whole Miles Teller thing. But
Also,
what
also
else?
shout out to Timothy Chalamet. That was the other one because I'll
Yeah,
always,
I was
always
surprised
be,
he wasn't. This is honestly, we've been blessed since 2010 to have a lot of
yeah,
amazing talent. Like,
yeah,
if you just go with like Amy Adams, like who has been
yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah.
We can go with. I'm pretty sure I'm blanking on other names right now. It's Amy Adams. We mentioned Don Glover, Miles Teller,
Don,
Michael B. Jordan
absolutely. I
already.
forgot Donald Glover, but thank you for bringing that up because he is so stupid talented. It does not
Yeah,
make sense. Also, Lakeith
yeah.
Stanfield is an
I'm
amazing.
I'm not putting them there yet though. He has the base to be
Yeah,
fantastic. He has done. He doesn't have the body of work for me to think. Oh yeah, I'm all in on him
okay,
yet.
okay.
He hasn't done that yet. I'm not. Yeah, I've been heartbroken because I've been wrong about some people too. So like, but yeah. So I did mention Don Glover earlier. If you listen to our podcast, if you listen to our conversations, I did bring up earlier.
I was
So
there.
thought it. I know. Okay, cool. He said thanks for bringing it up again.
Thanks for bringing it up
Yeah, no,
today. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
I did bring it up today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thanks for because I genuinely forgot that because I would have not thought about Donald Glover until you said it. I was like, oh wait, no, Donald Glover. Yeah, absolutely, fantastic
Yeah,
actor,
Don
fantastic
Glover. We could talk
person.
about Jim Krasinski. No,
John Krasinski.
no. I purposely no. He's always Jim
Oh,
Halpert, but like he's always Jim. But then his name is Krasinski, so he's almost
but
not
also
Jim
so
Halpert
Jack
anymore.
Krasinski then, because he's
But
also a
yeah,
really good Jack Ryan. What
but
else
John
has he done? I
Krasinski,
only know those two. But
Quiet
like,
Place. He's on
oh, that's
13
right. That's
hours.
right. That's right.
Quiet,
No,
yeah, Quiet
shut
Place.
up. No, I
The
made a
first.
mistake. I can't believe I
What
forgot
else
about
has he
Quiet
done?
Place.
What's wrong with you? I think 13 Hours. That's a great movie. I really enjoyed that.
I have not seen 13 Hours.
It's like a little old school Michael Bay. Like he's gone back to his like older roots when it comes to like
Bad Boys
non
route?
kind of like it's
Okay.
still like he tries to do still like a lot of like so it's a mission movie. Like it's based on true story where
Sure.
there's a bunch of mercenaries trying to break in to capture this terrorist. I really enjoyed it. It's fantastic. I recommend watching. I'm sure it's on Netflix somewhere, and I'm sure there's other people that really stuck out to us. Nobody we have Anya Taylor-Joy who's coming up right now,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Right. So just a lot
Of
of
course.
people who's really stepping up. We're really blessed with like a lot of amazing talent right now. And so when we see like every movie now, almost every movie that comes out always seems stacked because everyone in there is so amazing. John Parental, I'm very excited for like his career where it
Is
goes.
it is it stacked because we know? So like when I think of movies from like the 80s, right, that I've seen, a lot of people would be like a lot of people who grew up with those stars would be like that's a like they'll say that is it's a stacked movie because they know that they were stars in their time, right? Or or is it a stacked cast because it's actually a good cast? Like the reason I'm asking this is because when I see a movie and like Lady Bird for example, right? Not Lady Bird, sorry, Little Women, right? Little Women had a great cast, but did it have a great cast because I knew all the actors and I knew what they could do, or was it just a really good cast? Do you know what I mean, or do I sound stupid?
It's safe to say that all the actors and actresses that we mentioned
Mm-hmm.
are well known. Like we talked
Mm-hmm.
about every single person we talked about. But at the same time, when it comes to a movie like with Little Women, I think it's more of a strong cast because you know who they are. Like I know, like I was like, you have Emma Watson's in that. Am I right?
Emma Watson,
Emma Watson and the
Saoirse
Chalamet.
Ronan, Timothy Chalamet, Bob Odenkirk makes an appearance. Cool dude. Laura
Um,
Dern, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it is a very strong cast, like that's for sure. But when I say stacked, these for me a stacked cast is a movie that they can carry themselves. So
I say.
so me so for me if so there so for example Little Women, it's a
Mm-hmm.
very strong cast. But
Mm-hmm.
a stacked cast is I could pick out any actor like the Ocean series 11, 12, 13.
Perfect.
I could take any of those guys out and have them star in their own movie, and then they all have and do fine,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
So
Fair
to
enough.
me, it's
Yeah.
like yeah. So that's a stacked cast. They can carry their own team. They can carry their own movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Next question, man.
Now, yeah. The next question I have is one that I've actually thought about because I know you love heist movies. I know you love anything to do with something was there was a team, and now it's no longer there, right? So, if you could create your own heist team with movie characters, not actors. So like, when I say that, I mean Danny Ocean, not George Clooney, like that, right? Who would that be? So let's say you have four roles to fill out, right? You have the one that comes up with the plan, you have the muscle, you have the getaway driver, and you have, let's say, um, what's another fourth role in a heist movie? Muscle, brain, driver,
Also, Byron, you need one crazy guy. Everyone you need some irrational
crazy
crazy
person.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you know.
and
Okay.
and the beauty because there's always some sort of like beautiful person there to like enchant someone else. So five roles.
What movie does that have that? Please explain to me before you go further. I'm really curious about this beauty thing. Name one movie that has one enchanted beautiful person. Do money for me. Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever in my life.
Like you know, like someone who distracts the guards with like by flirting with them. Do you know what I mean?
Since when? What movie has
I don't
that?
know.
Name a good
I
ass
could
movie.
I could like in James Bond, right? Like
Okay.
there's always someone there to like enchant someone.
They're literally called Bond girls. Like, come on, man. Like, it's
Yeah, but they have other names. Like Pussy Galore was one of them.
you're a funny guy, dude.
So, thank you.
Want to?
It's how I distracted the bullies in high school. Shout outs to the bullies. Uh, so Varun, those are your roles. You have five of them. Who do you got for me?
So I'll make sure I got this straight. There's the driver.
Yes.
There's the head charge guy who's creating the plan.
Sure. Yeah.
There is the charmer, which is a new heist role I've never heard of before.
I thought that was a thing. I'm sorry. But yes, the charmer.
The charmer, the crazy muscle guy who's sometimes overreacts to everything.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first one I would have to go with, and there's a here's the two people I think off the top of my head when I think of a getaway driver. I think of
Mm-hmm.
Paul Walker as Brian O'Connor because he's just a great driver,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's someone that's having plays, but doesn't have the experience of escaping routes. So that's why he's
Okay.
not my main guy. So Brian O'Connor does not make it from the Fast series. He's
Dang.
even though he'll know where the police everything was, that hurt me to
Mm-hmm.
not have him there, but I had to move away from him.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to go with Ansel Elgort from Baby
Okay.
Driver as
Yeah.
Baby. These is I don't think I'm always gonna escape. I'm always good with that. I feel confident every single time with him. He's always in focus. I trust him, no problem. He doesn't look like a thief. So he's sitting in the car. He seems like another kid with his glasses on, listening to his iPod. Like he's good to go. So that's the first. That's Driver knocked out. Ansel Elgort, Baby from Baby Driver. If you guys haven't seen that, it's fantastic. The
Mm-hmm.
sequel is in the works right now for that, so I'm very excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
This one's super easy for me. The muscle, the crazy guy. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it will always be James Coughlin. James Coughlin, played by Jeremy Renner in The Town, will always be the like guy who always takes it too far. The other guy who scares the crap out of me. Like that scene where Affleck goes into Coughlin's apartment. You've seen The Town? That scene.
Yeah, a while back. I don't
Okay,
remember much of it.
I,
Yeah.
I watch like once every 6 months. But like, so Coughlin goes. So Ben Affleck's character goes into Jeremy Renner's apartment, and
Mm-hmm.
essentially Ben Affleck had this girl he was seeing. He's getting bothered by some guys in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So Affleck goes to Renner's like, "Hey, I'm gonna ask you to do something, and you can't ask me why, but we're gonna hurt some people." And
Okay.
Coughlin's or Jeremy Renner's response was, "Who's driving?" So the loyalty in that and the craziness of that, like you need that. You have to have that. It's amazing.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
think
Yeah.
I was
I
considering
get it.
thinking I was considering thinking taking Val Kilmer's character from the Heat, but from Heat, but he has so many personal problems with his marriage and his wife messing around with him and a lot of instability there. That I'm concerned that he may not be focused all the time. So I would go with Jim Renner every single time.
I
I'm
did
gonna
not
skip
think that's what you were gonna say, but okay.
for the charmer, I'm gonna go with that first because that's stupid. This is a stupid question, so stupid category. Sorry,
I
but
thought that was a real thing. My
it
bad.
would have to. So it would be an ocean theme. So it would have to be one of the oceans. It would have to be either Tess or George or Danny Ocean. It would have to be one of
Mm-hmm.
them. It would have to be Julia Roberts or George Clooney. I eventually
Mm-hmm.
went down to George Clooney, and I'll explain why George Clooney in a bit here. Why I took him over Tess. But with George Clooney, I just think that he you have a guy who can plan, but at the same time he doesn't have to be the guy. At least not. I don't think in this crew. I hope his crew works together. Cause I'm trying to think of that too. What kind of crew could work together really well?
Okay.
But yeah, so I think I would have to go with Danny Ocean, aka George Clooney from the Ocean series, and then finally from the the main guy planning it. To me, that was. Oh, sorry, I skipped one. I skipped the smart guy, the tech guy. So the smart guy who's helping planning everything, I will have to go with Livingston Dell. I think that's his character's
Yeah.
name from the Ocean series, the tech guy. He's played by Eddie Jameson. He was the guy who's doing all the electronic setups, setting up all the
Yeah.
cameras, setting up everything. He looks nervous as hell every single time, but again, always gets the job done.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make sure I write this down. It's like a recap this afterwards. And then so yeah, Eddie Jameson, Livingston Dell, both Ocean series, and finally to run the crew, it would have to be Neil McCauley from Heat, played by Robert De Niro, because I cannot have a heist team without having the main guy from the greatest heist movie of all time. So Neil McCauley has to run that. And the reason I went with Danny Ocean over Tess Ocean,
Mm-hmm.
because if with the Tess Ocean, there's a potential love interest there. And
Oh, I see.
with Neil McCauley, he has this rule like if you can't walk away from a woman in the middle of a heist, you're not ready for the job. So no Macaulay might walk away from Tess in the middle of it, and if she snitches, and then anything can happen. It gets complicated because she's part of the crew. So I would have to go with Danny there. So the recap, after sort of blubbering around and talking about everything, so I was going with Ansel Elgort. So from Baby Driver, I am going with James Coughlin, who played by Jeremy Renner from The Town, and I am going with Livingston Dell as my tech guy from the Ocean series, played by Eddie Jameson. George Clooney as my charmer. I'm still very confused by that. And then finally we have Neil Macaulay, played by Robert De Niro, aka Bob, in Heat.
Okay.
So that's my crew.
Right on. That's a good crew.
So my first question for you, you said I was surprised I didn't mention anything. What else is a surprise for you?
Because I thought of, when you said muscle, I immediately thought Hobbs from Fast and Furious. I thought of The Rock.
But he's not gonna steal something with you.
I know, but but if I need him to, he can be the muscle. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm thinking of.
But so see, that's the thing is, like, he is not. I'll clearly thought about this team for a while.
Okay, yeah. No, it sounds like it. You've been letting it ruminate.
Right? I'm trying to plan a hat for a while. I don't know if these characters are in existence, but if you're out there, please hit me up at the deepfocuspodcast@gmail.com.
No, don't affiliate us with that. Come on.
We need financial support.
That's
right?
fair. That's fair. Might as well be them.
I want to upgrade our mics, bro. Come on now. So when I'm thinking about this team, I'm thinking about who could work well together. Hence why I didn't take Tess Ocean over Danny Ocean, because I need Robert De Niro, because I don't take shit from anybody. Danny Ocean, that's my only concern. Danny Ocean can be a planner, and he can be a really strong number two. But knows no fuck with Neil Macaulay. Like, he is that guy every single time, and it's intimidating. And then like a baby from Baby Driver, like, it's fantastic. So these guys are actual criminals, whereas The Rock, he's not a criminal. Like in the Hobbs and Shaw films or the Fast and Furious films, he's an FBI agent. He hunts down criminals. He's the guy I'm trying to get away from.
Yeah, but I could also but what I'm saying is I can envision him in that role, because I can definitely see him kicking some ass. You know what I mean? So, like, that's what I'm thinking. I might be wrong on that, you know.
You're absolutely wrong. No, you're not.
Okay, come on, man.
He's a cop. He's not gonna be part of a heist.
Okay.
Team. He's not gonna rob a bank with me.
But Brian was a cop, and then he switched.
But then he pulled off a bank. That's why he wasn't on the list.
Oh, that's right. He lost because you put him with Baby Driver. That's right.
Yeah, I didn't put him on the list because he has no criminal activity for his resume. His resume lacks it. He doesn't have that. He did a one job in Brazil. That's it. And even with that, it was a tandem team with Dom Toretto. So I don't know if he could work well by himself as a driver, or how loyal he will be to the police.
That's right. Okay, on, so I'm still sticking with it, man. I think it'd be sick. The other person. So for my driver role, I'm picking Driver from the movie Drive. That's a lot of drives in one sentence, but the only reason I'm picking him over Baby Driver is because
that's a good pick. I'm actually kind of jealous of that pick. I'm still going with my guy, but that's a great second option for sure.
The reason why this was a no-brainer is because as soon as I thought of this question, I was like, okay, I have my driver, because it has to be Ryan Gosling playing the driver in that movie. The intelligent person, I would definitely choose Danny Ocean, but the Sinatra version, because he was very clever in that movie. So the old Ocean's 11. The Charmer, you haven't seen Tenet yet, but I'm going to choose Kat, so Elizabeth Debicki's character. It is kind of a heist movie because they're still stealing something from her, and they're getting intel and stuff. So I still consider it's not a proper heist movie, but there's a heist element to it. And when she was on the yacht with Kenneth Branagh's character, she was very good at playing off his emotions and, like, getting intel or, like, distracting him from certain things. So that, And for the tech role, I'm actually going to choose someone who's not been in a heist movie but plays the tech role in a TV show. Felicity from Arrow. Have you seen Arrow?
Yeah.
So I'm going to choose her because A, she's ridiculously smart. She can get into anything. And B, she would have access to anything that she needs. I feel like you're very disappointed in me, but I'm also a person that doesn't watch. I wanted your list. I didn't really have a
She's
list
not
because I
gonna
don't
she's
watch a
not gonna
lot of
rob a
heist
bank.
movies.
Again, like she's not gonna rob. She's
Hmm.
you're right, but her resume doesn't. I wouldn't hire her. That's for sure. Not if my life depended on it.
Dang. I don't
No.
know. I'm thinking of like roles that they've played that they'd be good in. I'm not thinking, oh, this would be like because they've done it before. I'm just thinking if I need to, I'm going to choose the best from which I know.
Hey man, you know what? We'll continue this podcast when your team's in jail because they're gonna get caught because it's pretty lackluster right now with this team. But no, continue. It's all good, man.
All right, it is what it is. But yeah, those are all the audience question. That was my question.
I'm gonna change one thing quickly.
Sure.
So I'm gonna take my baby driver back because I blanked on this. I don't know what something you said triggered it, but how can I go with Frank Martin, Jason Statham from a transporter when it comes to as my driver? That's
I've
all.
not seen the Transporter series. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen. Well, I don't know if you like it actually. I got so mad. Like, wait a minute. I don't think you like
Is it
it.
bad or is it just like eh?
It's fun. It's a fun time. It's
Okay.
fun, especially the first one.
Okay.
Like the main. I remember the main actress being super annoying. Like I just couldn't stand her. But
Mm-hmm.
like it was, I thought it was fun. Like the first scene was like, essentially, Jason Statham plays as a transporter. He transports goods from one to another area. No matter what that is, doesn't ask questions. He has all these rules. He's
Mm-hmm.
very by the book, by his own book, and if you tell him something like a plan wise, he sticks to it. So, for example, like in the first scene, I don't know how I remember this. I haven't seen it in a while, but the first scene, the first transporter, he is waiting in the getaway car, and right now
Mm-hmm.
these thieves have never met him before. There's no to
Mm-hmm.
go to this car at this time, so he's
Mm-hmm.
waiting in the car. The thieves get in the car, and now the thieves. There's one more thief than was originally planned, which
Mm-hmm.
throws off the weight of the car, which throws off the route he picked for that. So I thought there's little things like that. Like he's very precise, and I do like that about him, and he was able to adjust to it. But yeah, like there's a Frank Martin's definitely at least a mention for sure. Like he needs to bring up there. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those are it. I have a quick question for you
Yeah.
because I was thinking about this the other day. So I already know my answer. So I'll know my answer right away.
Okay.
Outside of Game of Thrones and outside of How I Met Your Mother,
Mm-hmm.
what is the most upset you've been with a TV series?
The Big
I can go
Bang
first.
Theory.
Big Bang Theory. I haven't finished yet. I watched, but tell me, I'm okay with it.
So the reason why is because I haven't finished it, but that show started off strong, and it got progressively weirder and weirder and weirder, and around season
But
seven.
sorry,
Hmm?
I'm bringing my question back. Maybe like
Sure.
like same anger level that you had with Game of Thrones and How I Met Your Mother. Like was that Big Bang Theory for you? Like you
Yeah,
like
because it did have a lot of potential, and then it just
okay,
started to like repeat a lot of things. And
yeah.
around season seven, the only reason I'm saying seven is because that's when I stopped watching it, and a lot of other people stopped watching it around that time as well. So yeah, it's just something about that show. Yeah, it's been on longer than any show. I think it was like season 12. That's not an animated show, so yes, it was part of the zeitgeist, but I think it wasn't what it could be, or it strayed off from what it was, and what made it brilliant. So yeah, Big Bang Theory.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia has been out a lot longer. For anyone who hasn't seen it, Always Sunny in Philadelphia
Oh,
has been
that's
out since
right.
2005.
Whoa, that's right.
It is an amazing show.
Hmm.
It's like one of my favorite comedies.
It that
But
show confuses the
yeah.
bejesus out of me.
I don't know. It's perfect. I freaking
It's
love
it's
that show
funny,
so much. So
but
funny.
it
It
looks
makes no
so
sense. It's
low
so
budget.
chaotic.
Yeah,
I think that's the purpose, right? Like that is the
yeah.
purpose. But for me, and the reason I thought about this was because I was going through this office sort of tunnel the other day, and what really pissed me off is you have a character like Michael Scott. and you see his growth through the entirety of the series, from his first episode until he left with Holly. I feel so robbed that we didn't get a Michael Scott wedding. I feel,
Oh, I see.
I feel like something was taken away from me, that we didn't get a chance to see his kids, even in the finale. Like he spends his whole life just wanting to have friends. Like that's it. Like you
Hmm.
feel for the guy, and he is going through a struggle, falling hard and falling in love with almost every woman he meets because like, oh hey, someone likes me. I want to hold on to this dear life, and he meets Holly, which is I'm so. I honestly, that proposal scene every single time brings me to tears. It is amazing, but how the fuck did we get a Phyllis wedding and not get a Michael Scott wedding?
Oh my
Like,
god.
I'm sorry with the F bomb, but how do we get a Phyllis wedding, but not a Michael Scott wedding? How do we get a an Angela and Dwight wedding, and not get a Michael Scott wedding? Like, nothing against Angela and Dwight, but Angela's a mean person. She's a bad person. Like, she
Hmm.
cheated on her fiance. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
And he's cheated on people multiple times. It wasn't the first
Right.
time. Like, she's a bad person, but we got her wedding, right?
But not Michael
But
Scott. Okay.
how do we not get a Michael Scott wedding? Like that the thing. Like we made this like, so here's a circle for was watching. I'm making this big circle, and then makes top this little gap right here. Like just complete the circle, like full like
Just have it touch.
full, just have him grow completely. Let him
Yeah.
fulfill that. Like I don't know. I got robbed. I was so
Yeah.
pissed.
No,
Um,
I never thought it was that serious. But yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with you. I didn't even think about it that way.
I felt so fucking robbed. And it didn't click into me until like the seventh time I watched The Office. I'm like, huh, we never got. I was so distracted by my hate towards Pam in the final seasons that like.
She
Right,
was a bad character. Yeah, absolutely.
right. So
Yeah.
Michael Scott's got. I don't know, man. How the hell do you
Yeah.
not? Sorry for the F bomb, guys. I truly sorry. I'm very passionate about like
No,
the Michael Scott.
you're very. It's earned. That F bomb is earned.
Oh yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. And then that's it, man. Those are all the questions. Thank you again, everyone, for those amazing questions today. Especially the heist question, Murad. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Your team sucks, so it was a surprise.
Hey,
But
to
it is what it is. It's
and
okay.
oh, hold on,
It
hold
does
on,
it.
wait a minute. You don't hold on. You, I thought of that question because I wanted to know about your heist squad. Because I don't watch heist movies, so I knew I was gonna have a shit cast. All I knew is that Danny Ocean and Driver from Drive. Those are the only two people I had. All the other ones, I was like, I don't really
That's
care
fine.
about these because I don't know.
Cool. Enjoy your
Yeah.
time in jail. That's all I gotta say. Um, I'm very excited for next week. So next week we'll be talking about. We will continue our hot or not slash review episodes going forward. So next Tuesday, if you guys want to watch ahead of time, we'll continue the spoiler free version of it, so that way you guys get to watch it afterwards. Excited about, but we will be talking about Wrath of Man. Speaking of Jason Statham, we'll be talking about Wrath of Man, and we will be talking about Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan. So that will be for Tuesday's episode. Until next time, guys. Catch you guys in the flippity flop.
Peace out.